The last several teardowns have been new to me. Obviously, I only tear down one engine a week, and I can't possibly cover one of every type of engine, but I still like to seek out the odd ones, the rare ones, the stuff I've never worked on. That's why I tore down that Hyundai Tao last week, because it was a learning experience. So the engine we're going to tear down today, I've never worked on. I've never even driven one of these cars. And if it wasn't for Bill in Pennsylvania, I wouldn't have this engine to tear down. You guys all owe him a huge thank you for providing this Maserati F160 V6, a twin turbo V6. Now, I don't know whether this is out of a Ghibli S or a regular Ghibli, but it makes somewhere between 345 and 404 horsepower. And yes, this is a Ferrari designed engine. This is probably the closest we'll get to tearing down a Ferrari engine on the channel, although never say never. Now, this engine was free. I had to pay for shipping, and I have to send Bill the valve covers back. So I don't have a lot invested in it, and I hope I get some good parts out of it, and I hope I learn a thing or two. Now, I'm not going to tell you that these are terrible cars, or they're really good cars, or super fast, or they're slow, because I don't know. But I can tell you that this is kind of a culmination of Chrysler, Maserati themselves, and Ferrari. That's why this looks the way it looks. Now, it's a 3-liter engine. It obviously is missing the turbos, and it's been sitting somewhere in a field because there's lots of grass in here, lots of it, and I can see the intake manifold's kind of weathered. I still think this thing was rather sealed up. It has plugs in it still, and my shipping guy tells me it does turn over. He found that out, I guess, by accident. So we're going to see if we can verify that. We're going to pull the plugs first. We're going to see if we can see any ballast in the combustion palace, or maybe it's good. It's not good. It wouldn't be here. My number one fear when I tear down something European and that I've never worked on before is, do I have the tools to take this apart? And, well, I can tell you that this engine is just covered in hex head fasteners. Probably one of my least favorite fasteners, but I think it'll all come apart just fine. A little bit of water in here. That's water, not water. Okay, a lot of water in there. A lot. Well, none of the plugs look destroyed, but it does look like it's been running pretty rich. These are really, really dark. And this one has some signs of moisture in it, so we may find some rust in that cylinder. That's the front cylinder on the left-hand bank, but no bent straps, no smashed electrodes. So far, so good. Now it's that time where we need to see if it turns all the way over. It's got no plugs in it, so there should be virtually no resistance. Okay, there's a little resistance. Ooh, that didn't sound good. This is also a 32 millimeter crank bolt. That's gigantic. I can hear the chain slapping inside. I don't know if that's because there's no oil pressure or something's wrong. Now I'm going to take a minute and get some of this debris, like that S at the end, out of the valley here. It'll make taking this apart a little cleaner. Oh, that's cool. That gives me an idea. Oh, hey, there we go. Nothing seems to be coming out of the right-hand bank. That's kind of concerning. Just the left bank. All right, I'm done playing. Much better. For anyone asking, yes, I am saving the fasteners from this engine. Why? Because I don't know what's worth money off of it, so it all goes into the same bin. We're going to first hit this thing with a 5 millimeter Allen or hex head tool, and we'll see how much we can get off, and then we'll hopefully be able to pull the intake with a 6 millimeter. Hey, the first part's off. Crankcase ventilation. Well, that is the high pressure pump lifter. It's seen some water. It's fine. one-time use clamps. Clever. Or should I say, never. Oh, more one-time use clamps. Okay, so I think I get the intake off next. And that's held on with a... Okay. That's held on with a whole bunch of 6mm Allen bolts. Map sensor. Okay, is it loose? No. Do I need glue? Probably. Oh, I just had to break the seal. Just a little bit of stuff, it's fine. This is a problem. What? Intake's off. Ugh. Hole. That's not good. Well, direct injection has its benefits, but this is not one of them. That is atrocious looking. And somehow that one's worse. I don't see anything bent, but there is some debris in here. Of course, this engine's sat around a while. Man, I wonder how many miles are on this engine. I'm probably can't figure out those details, unfortunately. Now let's start peeling off the valve covers. We'll start with the right-hand side. All right, did I get them all? I think so. Definitely don't want to break this. What the what? Oh, I see. That was necessary. Well. The chain is present. That's good. Head bolts are big Allen bolts. Okay. Oh man. That is not good. Well, a close look at the camshafts reveals that there is some damage to the lobes, some scratches on many of these lobes. I don't lobe that. I don't lobe that at all. I don't see any rockers out of place. I don't see anything too terrible. Chain still has plenty of tension, but I want to show you something. I just peeked at the bottom of the valve cover, just a little peek, and there's some wear from the chain making contact with the valve cover. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I've torn down plenty of motors, and I know that that is not normal. So, why did that happen? Also, this is really giving off some Pentastar vibes. I just had to say that. Oh no! That doesn't go there. Well, that would explain why the chain was hitting the valve cover. That's a lot of timing guide in there. A lot. Now let's start on the other side. That's out of the way enough, I think.
Well, this just... It's like a dipstick tube, but it's not.
Okay, now I think we can get this off. Did I miss a bolt or something? This one's glued down way... There we go. That one has a little bit of wear there too. Not quite as bad. Let's peek a gander. What have we got going on? Well, there's the chain tensioner, and it looks pretty far extended, but I don't know what they're supposed to look like. The cams on this side look a lot better, but still there is some damage. Pretty bad once you get towards the back of the engine. Now this cam looks, nope, that's damaged too. Yep, it's damaged as well. I don't see a pile of timing guide down there, so that's good, or it's all in the pan. Now I'm actually going to turn this engine over. You can see this move on both sides. I just want to make sure everything's still connected. Oh, that didn't sound good. Uh-oh. Watch that chain there. See that? Whoop. This will be a better look. It's not good. Not normal. Now I know this may seem really early on. Oh, I need to drain it before I flip this thing over. That's not oil. That's oil. So I had a little water in it. A little oil in it. Okay, now we're going to turn this thing over. Hopefully it doesn't make a huge mess. It's going to make a huge mess. It really wasn't that bad. Oh, now the coolant comes out. And it's ejecting bolts that I dropped. It's fine. I told you we'd get them out. Without a doubt, this is the strangest looking oil pan we've had on the channel, and that's because this engine is a structural component, at least the oil pan is. So now we're going to get as many of these bolts out as we can. Some I have to do some funky stuff with the extension. It's fine. Now I don't think my socket's going to fit. Oh, it does. Sneaky one. Any other sneakers over here? Nope, just the two on my feet. There's two at the very back. Now it does have an oil drain that's from one of the turbochargers. I think they can just come off with the pan. I'm not sweating it. And I also think this pan has a place to pry, which is nice. Very nice. Oh no, that's not good. Well, that's a fine place to keep your timing chain guide. There's just chunks of this stuff everywhere. Lots of it in here. Oh, I know, I pushed it down in there. Huh, I wonder what we're gonna find. Are we gonna have some oil starvation? Probably. It's rather milky in here, but I'm inclined to believe that happened from this engine sitting outside and not during normal operating condition. There are several pieces of timing chain guide in here, but I don't see any metal. I don't see that forbidden glitter. Maybe a little bit down there. Nothing terrible yet. Before I flip this engine back around to pull the timing cover off, we're going to get this pickup removed from the oil pump. It's gooey. Now we're going to start on this front cover. We're going to remove the giant crank pulley bolt first. See, does this just come off? Nice. So now we're going to take some bolts out of here, and this actually has regular bolts, 10 millimeters. I can just hang out there. Would you just... Wait a minute. Is that all cast into the water pump? That's all part of the water pump. I thought this was its own housing, but
no.
Now it looks like I can remove this from the oil cooler here. Very Pentastar-like. We'll just deal with that in a minute. That big one, it's an 8 millimeter. Now, a whole bunch of 10 millimeters. All right, let's see, does this? Nope, blue. There, cracked seal. And there's the water pump. Ooh, that wasn't good. Okay, well, we're just gonna cut the hose. Yep, I'm cutting it. That means I can't sell it again. Oh, these cutters can't cut air. What the hell? Where did these come from? Oh, now it comes off. All right, I got that freed up. There's quite a lot of resistance here. Yeah, I probably wouldn't reuse that. That's bad. All right, now we're going to remove this thermostat housing. Ooh. Ooh, I don't know if I can show that. You don't need to blur that, Mike. No, seriously, stop. Just unblur it. It was funny the last time, but just leave it. Thank you. No, really, you don't have to keep that blurred. It doesn't look like anything. All right, now I've just got a whole bunch of 10mm headed bolts. One more here, but I need that bracket out of the way first. Okay, I think I've got them all. Is that all? I think that's all. This should just pop off, right? Right? There's a nice place to pry right here. And we'll just give it a little, I don't like prying off the face of the cams, but the likelihood of selling those is pretty slim. I don't see any more hiding bolts. Is there anything in plain sight? Nothing facing the wrong way. I see. What did I miss? I see nothing. Do I need to take that off? Let's take that off. Nope. That didn't have any, that has no bearing on what I'm doing, and no pun intended there. It's like stuck down here. Oh, okay. Oh, we're dropping timing guide parts. Many timing guide parts. I gotta save all these so we can fix it. There we are. Let's see. I don't see any damage to the timing cover. Well, this is pretty not good in here. This that guide that just comes off. It's all chewed up. This thing's destroyed. And then I can just probably, yep, I thought that was going to happen. No tools required. And the chain is off. And that's off. That's supposed to have some more of that orange plastic. It doesn't really start off orange. It starts off more of a vanilla color. But that's all gone. I mean, we know where it was. It was in the oil pan, and it was in the pickup. And the, oops. That's the tensioner. No explosions there because, well, it already blew up. Now the other side is bad too. Too much. That's too loose. Too loose. Yes, it's broken as well. It's not as broken if that's some sort of feat. I don't know if I can get this side apart without tools. That seems kind of dangerous. Oh, that was all the way extended because that doesn't go any further. That's it. Now this is also supposed to have that material on it. I don't know how easy it is to see, but it's definitely worn through in places from that chain riding directly on that. It's not supposed to ride there. Ooh, that's under a little tension. No, it's not. So it's got a little ratcheting thing that keeps it from retracting. Oil pressure driven. You can see that one's chipped off at the very top. This stuff just turns so fragile. This is kind of like the BMW M62 TU engines. Are real bad. They have a U-shaped guide, and this color material just ends up in the oil pan. Hugely expensive job on those, just like it probably is on this. Nice looking chain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to have another kind of material on it too, but maybe that's perfect. Next, I'm going to remove the fuel lines. While I'm here, I'm going to remove the bolt that holds this oil feed for the turbocharger. Now it's time to crack the cam caps loose. A quick look at the journals and the rollers here. I don't see anything terribly out of place. The journals look all right, but typically the journals don't show as much wear as the caps because of the tension of the springs. However, all right is not the word I would use to describe the condition of these journals. They are pretty damaged. Caps pretty damaged. Lack of lubrication will do that. I don't really think these are going to be worth anything after this kind of damage. Now it's time to get the head bolts out. These are 12 millimeter hex head bolts. Hex head bolts. Head. Ooh, spicy. They're not really that tight. They're just really loud. They're studs. Huh. I did not expect that. All right, I am really hoping this doesn't fight too hard coming off because of the studs. Oh, that was cake. Chocolate. But ew. Lots of ew. Get the head gasket out of here. I think this is the first engine we've torn down that had studs. It's pretty sludgy. It's a little bit of water in the cylinders. We got to do our test first. Okay, all those are good. Well, there's definitely some water sitting in a couple of these, but I don't see any major bore damage aside from rust. That's how this engine was stored. Certainly doesn't do any favors, but I was really curious to see if this had damage to the pistons or they had marks on the pistons like they made contact with the valve, and it looks like that one right there might have made contact. If it was, it wasn't very hard. Open deck design. This is, I think, a little different than the actual Ferrari engines. Ferrari engines are closed deck. Of course, these are easier to make on a budget. And the cylinder head doesn't look too bad. I don't see any major damage. Maybe contact right there. It's really hard to say. But I can test it. I can put plugs in it and let some fluid sit in it overnight and see if anything leaks past it. See if those valves are bent. But if it is, it's very slight. Now it's time for the other cylinder head. Alrighty. Guess you didn't like that cam cap. Uh-oh, there's still a bolt in that one. No explosions. That's in a bind. Hold, please. Just give it a tap. Similar story on this side of the engine. The journals look decent. The rollers have a little bit of damage, but they roll just fine. This doesn't strike me as a very well taken care of engine. And more cam damage. You need oil pressure to lubricate. And if your pickup's chock full of timing guide, you don't have any oil pressure. That journal's really rough. Cap's torn up. Now, I don't think that means that they're totally useless. I mean, I'll scrap them just fine. I don't know if this damage will put them out of contention to being resold or makes them just scrap. Now for the other side head studs. Why don't I have the brakes on? That's a really good question, guys. Much better. I'm going to actually use my cordless impact for this. It's a little less violent. All right, I'm hoping just like the other side, this comes off real easy. Super easy. Look at it. Ew, why did I touch that? First, our test. No disconnecting rods. Well, 2 of these cylinders actually look pretty good. There's a lot of debris, some sand and dirt. I don't see any marks on the pistons from making contact with the valves. This one, I bet you we're going to have some rust in this cylinder. That one's going to look rough. These 2 aren't too bad. Now looking at this head, it's pretty clear which cylinder sat with water in it, and that would be this one. That really does a number on this, and you always have to worry how the condition of the valve seats are, the condition of the valves if they're pitted. It's pretty unfortunate. Now we're going to flip this thing over and work on the bottom side. That's sufficient. All right, I know I skipped over this earlier when I pulled the pickup off, but let's see how much timing material comes out of this thing. It really wasn't that much. There's a whole bunch of smaller pieces inside of there. But, you know, that engine, when you drain it, sometimes the stuff will fall back out. I'm sure that all the stuff we found jammed up in there was restricting oil flow. Now it's time to remove the oil pump. And the most sensible thing I can think to do is remove the bolts for the oil pump gear. Should I not be doing this with my hands? Oh, it's fine. It's fine, totally fine. Look at that. Came right off, no problems. Now that tensioner is that's in good shape. I don't see any issues there. Now the oil pump. Oh no, there's wires and stuff. How does that come out? Let's just give it a little helping hand. I just shot a piece of plastic across the shop. It's fine. All right, now we're going to take the oil pump apart, but first, I can already see that it is a vane style pump. And it's making noise too. That gives me an idea. Oh wow, that gets loud. That's much more fun. Alright, that was fun. Now we're going to take it apart. What size is this? Oh, it's a Torx. First Torx of the day. Is that enough to get this apart? Well, give it a little help from Blue here. Now, this is not going back together, so no one's putting a used oil pump in their Maserati. I don't even think anyone's putting any oil pump in their Maserati. They're just putting an engine in it. Come on. There we go. We got one vein trying to make an exit. So as it spins, let's see if we can find that gear. Get a good look at how this works, or not. Okay, well that's not really going to work that well. You get the idea. But I don't see any bits of metal in here. I don't really see any wear. These typically don't show the wear that the other style pumps. And it's never going back together. I don't know. There is actually some wear here. Let me get the camera on it close. So you can see there is some wear on those vanes. A little bit of the housing as well. Now we can remove the windage tray. What? Okay. I'm going to have to use my ratchet? Oh, I think I see why. These are the bolts that go through the main caps. So that would make sense. Did I miss one? Yep. Now I'm going to try to turn this over, see how this works. I can feel it carving through the rust. I don't feel anything loose in here. So that's good. We might get a good crank out of this. All right, now I suppose it's time to start pulling the rods and pistons out. Start at the front. It's always cleaner that way. I mean, it keeps everything organized. Oh wow, they're not fractured rod caps. They're machined. Haven't seen that on a late model engine in a while. Come right out. Okay, that one is not going to come out as easy because of rust. Let's see if we can use the power of this hammer to compel this out. Yeah, we got it. And rotate. And pivots. This turns over fantastic. Hopefully this whole thing comes off. It should come out with it, right? Before we go yanking this crank out of here, we need to remove this intermediate belt. Now, is it Allen? Nope. Yep, that's what that is. I just used a T30 on a 5. No! I'm sure this isn't dangerous. Not a lot of tension. Yeah, it's fine. The thing looks like it's in good shape. Now I think, oh, I see how this works. I need to get the crank bolt out. Maybe I need to get the crank bolt out. If I go forward enough, I don't need to do that. Pull that out. Pull that out. Yes. So this thing rides on some needle bearings. They look like they're in pretty good shape. I wonder if this is part of the block. It doesn't look like it. It looks like you could maybe replace it, or maybe it's pressed in. Now let's see if my impact can get out these main cap bolts. Oh yes. Now for the final set of main bolts. Oh, these are in there. You know, I'm getting dipstick vibes. My gosh. Okay, we're gonna do this. I got an idea. Can Blue help us out here? Did that help? Ooh, look at that. Not with that one. That wasn't too bad. Now, will this crank come out? That is the question. What is the answer?
Yes.
Well, the rod bearings all show signs of pretty significant wear. They're not gouged up, they're not torn up, but they are worn. There's maybe I spoke a little too soon. Those are a little rougher. Now, one thing I did want to mention, and I have to give this engine some credit, the machine work is just beautiful. The rod cap bolts, the way the rods are machined, it's fantastic. And look at how nice that looks. Now the rods and pistons all look like they're in good shape. They'll clean up pretty well. I don't see anything broken. I don't see any smashed ring lands or anything crazy. There was just one piston, and I don't even remember which one it was. And I honestly think it was just the way it looks here. I don't think there was any piston to valve contact, and if there was, it was incredibly minor. The crank does need a little bit of work. It's not terrible. It's not like it spun a bearing or tore up a journal. Also, the machine work is very nice here. But it's not perfect. Especially there, you can see a little bit of damage there. It's not really that bad, and I think these cranks do have some value, so that's probably worth the effort. Now, the main bearings look worse than the rod bearings. Significant wear. I don't think this thing ran very long with low oil pressure. I think it would have been a little rougher than it is. Now let's get a better look at this block. I don't really see a ton of damage, and the rust cleaned up really well. It's not awful, although I wouldn't just slam some rods and pistons in it and call it good. That one is pretty bad. I bet this thing sat for quite some time. A few vertical scratches. It's not bad. Now it is something that I've been looking forward to for the entire time I've been taking this engine apart, and that is a comparison. On our left, we have a 3.6 liter Dodge or Chrysler Pentastar cylinder head, and on our right, the Maserati Ghibli cylinder head. Now they look very similar. Obviously they're not the same. I already looked. The cams will not swap over from one to the other. The spacing's all wrong. But look at the rocker arms. Interesting, interesting. Well, so if you find yourself needing some rocker arms and you own a Maserati Ghibli with this engine, buy them from a 3.6 Pentastar. I bet they're cheaper. But you can see like the overall head design, it's all very, very similar. I know. I didn't show this. I should have showed this, but I'm showing it now. I don't know why I can't get this oil filter out. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. But inside the filter, I don't really see any metal in any of these pleats. So I don't really think this thing had a lot of metal circulating through it. I think the filter would be full of metal if that were the case. I can tell you without a doubt, this engine wasn't very well maintained. The amount of sludge we found in this engine, the varnish on all of the aluminum parts, it just reeks of extended oil change intervals, 12, 15, maybe 20,000 miles. And there's no excuse for that. A Maserati is an expensive car. Now I know a Ghibli is the cheap one and it's built on another cheaper platform. I get that, but it's still an expensive car and you would think that someone would want to protect their investment. But we've seen it on very expensive engines in the past. Not everyone takes great care of their cars. Now, I'm not sold on the idea that the lack of maintenance caused the timing chain guides to come apart. I think that's strictly the cost of the material used on those guides and time and heat cycles. I don't know how many miles are on this engine. If we say it's, 8 or 9 years old at the most. Now, I did find some tags on some of the parts that claimed they were from 2017, but Bill said this was out of a 15. Some of those parts could have been replaced. I can't verify it. There's no VIN number on the engine. But either way, at the most, this engine is 8 or 9 years old. It shouldn't look like that. The timing system should not fall apart that soon. It's kind of a letdown considering the expense of those engines are $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and I don't know what you would do to prevent it. I think it was shut off relatively soon. We didn't see a ton of damage. There's no metal circulated through the engine, so I guess they did the right thing and shut it down. But either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed this teardown. You all can thank Bill for this one. I really appreciate it, Bill. If you'd like to buy parts off of this engine, except for the valve covers, or anything else I've torn down, or if you want to take parts off of this rear-wheel drive Silverado SS with a bajillion miles on it, you can email us. I'll leave our email in the video description. You can also go to Importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I've been uploading our inventory just about every single week. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.